This video proudly brought to you by the fine people at Housemade Industrial. Whether you're new to knife making or a seasoned pro, visit housemade.us to up your game with affordable quality gear. Welcome back to the OG Frenchie. In today's video, I'm going to be picking back up on a project that I started on about 5 or 6 months ago. And that is a Farrier's Rasp. And I believe my idea was to turn this into a kukri. I have one forging session in this, and you can see that I've got some of the handle put in, started mashing in the narrow section, and got our tip preformed. And I remember running out of propane and chucking this thing in the corner, and then I ran to do something else. So it's been sitting in the corner back here for quite some time. But today we're going to get back at the anvil and get some hammer time.
Stop! Hammer time!
We're going to get after it with the hammer at the anvil, and we're going to get this thing to resemble a kukri by the time we're done. I also have a brand new hammer that I'm going to be trying out, as I have plenty of widening and lengthening left to do on this thing. It's still plenty thick, and we've got quite a bit of material to move. So, without further ado, let's heat up this forge and get at it. All right, so continuing with this build, we're going to start with the handle end. I remember leaving it and, looking at it when I first forged this out, thinking, yeah, that looks about right. And as it cooled down, and I was able to hold it, I realized that it wasn't quite right. So I'm back here making some adjustments on the handle before we move on to the blade. And you can see I'm using another new hammer. This is a diamond rounding hammer, and it's one that I bought. It was like maybe 50 or 60 bucks at the hardware store. It's got a nice flat face on one side and a really nice rounded face on the other. I think it's like a 2.5 pound rounding hammer, and it's really nice. I haven't ever bought an actual blacksmith type hammer. I've been using just sledgehammers and the cross peen hammers you can find at Lowe's and different places. So to have an actual forging hammer is actually really nice. I would highly recommend this hammer too. They're accessible. I think you can buy them on the internet at different places, and like I said, for 50 or 60 bucks, you really can't go wrong. This thing is really well balanced. It's the right type of weight, and it just does a really good job just overall. I'm really happy with it. So now that we're done with the handle, we're moving on to the actual blade portion. And you can see here, I'm kind of just cleaning up this little pinched area, the start of the kukri, really just kind of correcting some of the profile. And once we get that done, I get to bust out the double diagonal cross peen hammer and give it a go. And I gotta say, this hammer is absolutely awesome as well. And it is super well balanced. The handle is just perfect. It's the perfect length, size, width. It just really is a wonderful hammer. And to give you guys kind of an idea of what it can do, I'm going to slow this clip down here and kind of show it in real time. This is just trying to widen out the blade, and what I'm doing is I'm just hitting the steel kind of towards the spine and then working my way down towards the cutting edge. And really, just after a couple of heats and hitting it from both sides, you can really see how good this thing is. It really does work super well to widen out the material. And what's cool about this hammer is if I want to go for length, I just flip it around in my hand, and the other cross peen is then right there. You can see it's now going lengthwise. So that's what makes this hammer so cool. And you can see here with one heat how much width we get out of that. That's pretty impressive. So definitely shout out to Randy. This hammer is absolutely awesome. Let's go ahead and continue with the build. I'll quit talking and we'll just run through some clips here of getting this thing into shape. So you can see after putting the bevels in and getting the cutting edge thinned out some, it's starting to look like a kukri, but it's still not as wide as I would like it here in the belly of the knife. So I picked back up Randy's hammer and try to widen it some. You can see though that it's already super thin, and you can see the metal getting dark pretty quick when I hit it. That's just because there's not a whole lot of material left there. So I try a couple of more heats here to get as much width as I can out of it before it just becomes too thin. And that's pretty much what I'm going to end up with. I think for next time that I do this, I will certainly try to go for the width before I go for the length. Because once you draw a piece out, you just don't have as much material to make it wider. And so I think going for the width first is probably the best idea. But hey, you live, you learn, and for next time, I'll know how to do it better. Here we are, the very next day. We have a pretty decent profile for the most part. This thing definitely looks like a Kukri, and with a little bit of cleanup on the grinder, shaping up this tip just a little bit more and refining the handle, just taking a little bit off the back and removing a chunk here so that the palm swell of the handle is in the center and I'll be able to get a good grip on this thing. Then I think we'll be in business. So let's go hit up the grinder. We'll do that and get it profiled, and then we'll move on to grinding in some bevels. All right, so after spending just a little bit of time thinning out the edge a little bit more and drilling the holes for the handle, we're now ready to run some thermocycles on this. Let's go ahead, fire up the forge, and we'll throw this dude in there. we're looking pretty good. Kind of can see the martensitic edge here, and I think for the most part it went pretty good. One of the thermocycles, I took it out of the forge, put it down, walked away. I came back after I'd let it air cooled, and the thing was like a banana, really bad. I have never seen a blade banana quite like that. I should have filmed it, but I didn't. What I did was I pretty much just put it back in again at the same time and temperature and focused more of the heat on the other side, because during that one I was just sticking it in and out without really flipping it over too much. And when I focused all the heat on the other side, it actually brought it all back relatively flat. And instead of laying it down and walking away, I put it down on a piece of metal, a long, thick piece of metal, and clamped it down so that it would stay, which got it back to being straight. And that was my main concern, because it's such a long blade, that it would hopefully stay straight in the quench. And for the most part, we're pretty much there. There is a little tiny bit here at the tip, but I think I can fix that in the temper. So pretty good, honestly. For such a long dude, it came out pretty straight, which is awesome. So there we go. We've got one hardened Kukri, and we're pretty much ready to temper this dude and then throw a handle on it, clean it up, and sharpen it. And we'll be doing that in the next episode. I really appreciate you guys hanging out for this one. And yeah, look forward to finishing the first Kukri out. Definitely a cool profile. It's not a traditional hockey stick Kukri, but it's still pretty cool. And yeah, I definitely like it. Really cool handle. It's got the tapered handle going on, so it's pretty thin down here and then works its way thicker back towards the spine. And you know, for forging 90% of it to shape, I feel like I did an all right job. Certainly not the best at forging. My skills are slowly improving, but the more projects that I take on like this, the better I'm going to get. And that's exactly why I'm doing this. So hopefully you guys learned at least something during the video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I will catch you guys in the next video for part 2, where we'll put a handle on this thing, clean it up, sharpen it, and we'll be chopping something. And then we'll be chopping some stuff with it. Can't own a Kukri without chopping some stuff. So that's what we're going to do in episode number 2 for the Kukri build. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll catch you then. Bye.